Chapter 1 of His Big Opportunity. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Adele de Pignerolles. His Big Opportunity by Amy Lefebvre. Chapter 1. On the Garden Wall. They were sitting astride on the top of the old garden wall. Below them on the one side stretched a sweet, old-fashioned English garden lying in the blaze of an August sun. In the distance, peeping from behind a wealth of creepers and ivy, was the old stone house. It was at an hour in the afternoon when everything seemed to be at a standstill. 2 or 3 dogs lay on the soft green lawn fast asleep. An old gardener smoking his pipe and sitting on the edge of a wheelbarrow seemed following their example, and birds and insects only kept up a monotonous and drowsy dirge. But the 2 little figures, clad in white cricketing flannels, were full of life and motion as they kept up an eager and animated conversation on their lofty seats. "You see, Dudley, if nothing happens, we will make it happen." "Then it isn't an opportunity." "Yes, it is. Why, if those old fellows in olden times hadn't ridden off to look for adventures they would never have found them at home." "But an opportunity isn't an adventure." "Yes, it is. An adventure is something that happens, and so is an opportunity." The little speaker who announced this logic so dogmatically was a slim, delicate boy with a white face and large brown eyes, and a crop of dark, unruly curls that had a trick of defying the hair-cutter's skill, and of growing so erratically that Master Roy's head was pronounced quite unmanageable. He was not a pretty boy, and was in delicate health, constantly subject to attacks of bronchitis and asthma, yet his spirit was undaunted, and, as his old nurse often said, his soul was too strong for his body. Dudley, his little cousin, who sat facing him, was, on the contrary, a true specimen of a handsome English boy. Chestnut hair and bright blue eyes, rosy cheeks, and an upright, sturdy carriage, did much to commend him to everyone's favour, yet for force of character and intellect he came far behind Roy. He sat now pondering Roy's words, and kicking his heels against the wall, whilst his dark eyes roved over the road on the outside the garden and away to a dark pine wood opposite. "Here's one coming, then," he said suddenly. "Now you'll have to use it." "Who? What? Where?" "It's a man, a tramp, a traveller, or a highwayman, and he may be all the lot together. It's an opportunity, isn't it?" Roy looked down the narrow lane outside the wall, and saw the figure of a man approaching. His face lit up with eager resolve. "He's a stranger, Dudley. He don't belong to the village. We'll ask him who he is." "Halloo, you fellow!" shouted Dudley in his shrill, boyish treble. "Where do you come from? You don't belong to this part." The man looked up at the boys curiously. "And who may ye be, a wall climbing and breaking over in folks' gardens to steal their fruit?" "Don't you cheek us," said Roy, throwing his head up and putting on his most autocratic air. "This is our garden and our wall, and the road you're walking on is our private road." "Then don't you take to insulting passers-by, or it will be the worse for ye," retorted the man. The boys were silent. "I'm sure he isn't an opportunity," whispered Dudley. But Roy would not be disconcerted. "Look here," he said, adopting a conciliatory tone, "we're looking out for an opportunity to do some one some good, and when you came along, that's why we spoke to you. Now just tell us if we can do it to you." "Yes," Dudley struck in, "you seem rather down. Do you want anything that we can give you?" The man glanced up at them to see if this was boyish impudence, but the faces bending down were earnest and grave enough, and he said with a short laugh, "Oh, I reckon there be just a few things I'm in want of, but as to your giving of them to me that be quite a different matter. Don't suppose you carry about jobs ready to hand in your pockets, nor yet my set of tools in pawn, nor yet a pint of beer and a good hunk of bread and meat for a starvin' feller. May be ye could tell me the way to the nearest pub and stay me a drink there." Roy thrust his hand immediately into his pocket, and pulled out amongst a confused mass of boys' treasures a sixpence. "I'll give you this if it will do you good," he said, holding it up proudly. "I've kept it a whole 2 days without spending it. It will give you some beer and cheese and bread, I expect. Is there anything else we can do for you?" "If you go to Mr. Selby, the rector, he'll put you in the way of work," shouted out Dudley, as the man caught the sixpence flung down to him, and slouched off with muttered thanks.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?